Welcome back to Talk of the Town. If you find that your skin has been affected by the summer salt, sun, and sweat, maybe even an itch or two, Dermatologist Dr. Denise Buntin is here to talk about some of the season's biggest skincare problems and how to treat them. Seems like we need a dermatologist at this time of year, even if we don't any other time.
Well, thank you. And dermatologists feel that way too.
Yeah, that's good. All right, let's talk about one of the biggest summer skin problems, and that's exposure to the sun.
Exactly. The thing I've noticed being in practice now for over 30 years is that people sort of underestimate what sun exposure means. If you're in the car, you're being exposed if you're driving in the daylight.
Yeah.
And for people who are very fair, who have a history of skin cancer or pre-cancers, you need to wear sunscreen SPF 30 or higher, and think in terms of the number being about a third of what you'll actually get. So if you get a 30, you're getting about a 10. So if you get 100, you're getting about a 30 in actual use. Because your average person doesn't put it on as thick as it was studied in the lab, so you want to put it on generously.
And how often do we reapply?
Now, some say 40 minutes, some say 80 minutes, so read the package labeling and try to buy accordingly. And then if you're perspiring heavily, you want to do that. And another thing people tell me, they say, it gets in my eyes and it burns. So to put it from your eye down and use a cap or a visor to protect that area.
That's smart. And applying it ahead of time before you get out in the sun seems to make a lot of sense too, instead of waiting until you get to the beach, then putting it on.
Right. Ideally about 30 minutes ahead of time. So if you're in the bathroom and you're getting ready, put it on like a moisturizer. And then if you're in the car, put it on in the car. But the whole idea is use it. Because you want to use the idea of brushing your teeth. Most people will brush their teeth without much thought. But you should think of sunscreen the same way. Make it part of your routine.
Do it every day, no matter what, whether you're out in the sun or not.
Right.
Okay.
If you want to look younger.
Well,
and maybe
don't we all? All right, let's talk about insect bites, spider bites, those kinds of things. We tend to be outside more at this time of year.
Right. I've also noticed that people are sort of forgetting about insect repellents. They've been around for a long time, and the most active ones contain a compound called DEET, and the abbreviation is DEET. So read the labels, and they work. Put them on ahead of time and try to avoid those pests, because some are dangerous. For example, tick bites can cause life-threatening infections. You can get Lyme disease, which can even cause mental changes. Or you can have swelling, big red circles on the skin where you were bitten. And then just this week I had a lady who was stung by a wasp, and her finger looked like a sausage, but fortunately she still had good range of motion. Her tetanus was up to date. So remember, if you're bitten by an insect, you need to find out if your tetanus status is good, and adults need one every 10 years. So check with your primary care doctor on that. And the key is to reduce the swelling. So you want to use ice initially. If you can't get to a doctor, hydrocortisone might be helpful rubbed on, but if you have a lot of swelling, you need to go to an urgent care, your dermatologist, your primary care doctor, because we'll often use steroids by mouth or by injection, as well as medicines rubbed on to reduce the inflammation, that irritation that comes from the bite itself.
All right, let's talk poison ivy, poison oak, those kinds of things. We tend to run into it by accident for working out in the yard, and then all of a sudden we're infected. Right.
The thing is, leaves of 3, let them be. So if you think you've encountered it, you've got about 10 minutes to rinse off with just water. You don't even have to have soap to reduce your chances of breaking out. And not everybody reacts to poison ivy. You have to be around it. So there's a sensitization. That is, your body becomes familiar with it, and when you're around it again, you break out frequently. And I have some patients who come every year. I even say, why do you continue to do yard work if you're this susceptible?
Right.
But if you get it, the key is to try to rinse off, try to use cool water if it's limited. If it's severe, if you have a lot of swelling, again, urgent care, your primary care doctor. And remember that the clothes you used last year when you were hunting, if you were exposed to poison ivy, when you touch those, you could be re-exposed to poison ivy.
And same with your dogs too. If they're out in it, you can get it off their fur.
Right, you can get it from your pets. And then things we call fomites, which are inanimate objects, so beware.
Good advice from our favorite dermatologist. Thank you very much, Dr. Buntin.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
Appreciate you being with us. If you'd like to get in touch with Dr. Buntin, you can find her contact information on our website at newschannel5.com.